Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is not Friday afternoon. It is good old Thursday morning, but we are still coming to you live and in action. Wondering what's going on in the district? Have questions about money, graduation, lunch services, athletics? Well, you've come to the right place because this is the BCS Buzz, where we discuss all things BCS. Today we have a bunch of questions for our superintendent. I have a fun little trivia game, and we have a new guest. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the incredible and kind Royceann Lafyette. Mrs. Lafyette is the senior counselor at Belen High School. To say Royceann is proactive in this district would be a complete understatement. She is an intricate and vocal member of the NEA and a wonderful counselor. Royceann has been with the district since August 19th, 1998.
You were still in school then, weren't you?
Absolutely. I wasn't even in the high school yet. 23 years. There's also something I wanted to know about Miss Lafyette. You know me, Mr. Sanchez. Social science and data are my passions. I have observed a trend with Royceann. As you know, I'm often a part of coordinating committees, whether it's for an interview, for a calendar, for some important decision-making process in this district. No matter who is running the process, time and time again, I hear, ask Royceann if she can come in on this. Ask Royceann if she can be a member of this committee. What this tells me, through data, is her opinion is not only valued, but she has a history of showing great support and intentions with this district and the students that we serve. So with that said, I want to welcome you to our show, Mr. Sanchez. How's your week going, sir?
As normal, always busy. Welcome, Ms. Lafayette. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
What a great introduction. You should, if you ever decide to leave education, you can put yourself out as a public relations person.
There we go. Yeah, or the BCS can, find the funding for a marketing specialist.
Well, they can hire you to go around and introduce them. As they're putting on workshops. We go places, right, and they have speakers, and you can tell them, no, you don't have to introduce me. I brought my own person.
Yes, I'll be the intro. I will be the intro girl. I love it. Absolutely. Well, I always just try to be very authentic and genuine about what I know about that person, and Royceann is phenomenal.
Here's the problem. You don't like to be a person.
I don't.
So you'll have to be
I know. It'll be like a mystery. It'll be like, what does she actually look like? We all know her intense voice. But yeah. One of these days, like our last BCS Buzz, I'll come on in and do a nice little smile and a wave.
Like, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Home Improvement. Remember Wilson, the neighbor? You only saw that.
Yes, I love Home Improvement. Okay, I'm officially Wilson. Cool, a new nickname for me, Wilson. I love it.
No, and the first thing, why are we doing BCS Buzz on a Thursday? And that's what I wanted, it all ties together. Racy has matters that she needs to take care of tomorrow, and so she can't be here when we normally film. And she goes, do you want me to get you a guest co-host, sidekick?
Yeah.
I don't know what your official title is. I said, no, the flow goes well.
Yeah,
we'll
let's
just film it on
it
Thursday.
There we go.
Too bad we can't officially make this today Friday and just.
That would be nice.
That'd be awesome. We have
that would be really nice.
Well, we can't do that, so we're filming it today on Thursday, and because Racy and I collaborate so well together, and this flows really well, and that's the theme of today is collaboration. Yes. I asked Ms. Lafayette to come on board. If you watched the board meeting Tuesday night, focus on all students, but a really intense focus on seniors.
Rightfully so.
Not that we don't value all students, but seniors are getting ready to graduate May, I'm going to forget the date. 18th. I was going to say 17th. May 18th at Belen High School, May 13th, I believe, at Infinity High School. And so we got to make sure that these guys are ready to walk the stage. And, we're talking about academics, a large part, but it's with everything that's going on. And, so we had a news story that came out last night.
Yes, I saw that.
That made it sound like BHS is telling kids they can't graduate. And, I can't control what the media says. We know that we, as a district, we can't say, we're not hiring them as our PR person. If I could hire Racy Vallejos and say, put out this story, right?
Yes.
But we want to make sure the real story gets out there.
Accuracy, right?
Accuracy. I mean, we all want accuracy so that we can make decisions, that we can make our own decision. And so when we talk about it, I know that the newscaster said 80+ students were told that they can't graduate. Does that happen, Ms. Lafayette? So Racy gave your background with the district.
Absolutely.
How many senior classes, and let's talk, just so we understand.
Yeah.
Ms. Lafayette is not always the senior counselor. The way it
right.
works at Boleyn High School is next year, she'll move back to the freshmen and she'll stay with them for 4 years, knock on wood, that she'll stay with us at least another 4 years, that we get that commitment.
She's gonna be our retire at 50 years.
But she'll go back with the freshmen and work with them all the way through.
Right.
So you've gone through multiple rotations.
This is the fifth senior class.
Fifth senior
that
class.
graduates.
Has Boleyn High School ever told a senior, you can't graduate because you didn't pay your fees and you don't have a cap and gown?
No, absolutely not, and quite the contrary. We have always worked, I'm so impressed with the staff at Boleyn High School. If there is a kid that doesn't have a cap and gown, if there's a kid that doesn't have shoes, if there's a kid that doesn't have food, I mean, all over the place, we are there to help students 100% of the way. And there have been kids in the past who have come to us as counselors when you're graduating a class to say, you know, I'm not able to have a cap and gown. Now, cap and gowns are always something that the parents are notified early in the fall that this is something that they buy. But if there is ever a student that doesn't have one, we have found one. We have staff at the school, the special ed department, Ms. Taylor keeps caps and gowns that we're able to lend out. I know that Cindy, our secretary, has caps and gowns that we've been able to lend out. So there's never been a student that I've seen that we haven't been able to. In fact, we've even bought some ourselves when they've needed them. So when I heard that 80 students were told they couldn't walk because they didn't have a cap and gown, I was thinking that that was a difference in messaging, and so we wanted to clear that up. But I want to focus on the 200 wonderful seniors that we do have and getting them towards graduation and what that entails.
200. And you know what, and I love that you said today's theme is about communication, because there's that saying, 9 out of 10 times the problem is just a lack of communication, and what an easy way to resolve it is just to, and maybe there is, my kid is a high school student, and sometimes we make assumptions or we go to the wrong resource and we don't even realize it. But I think what is most important, and what I think that we always want to focus on, is that everyone involved, whether it be part of the school district or community members, is the intentions are good, and it's to support the overall wellness of our students, and the best way to do that is together.
It's for the kids, right? And I'm glad you brought up community members.
Yes.
Because one of the goals of BCS, not just at Boleyn High School, but across the district, is to have those community partnerships.
Absolutely.
And we're working hard to create those. So this grassroots campaign where people are donating to purchase caps and gowns and help kids out, I think that's wonderful.
Awesome.
I have no problem
really
with
awesome.
that.
Absolutely.
It's great to see the community of Boleyn support kids. But again, that's not something new. You're a Boleyn High School graduate. I'm not. I've been here 26 years. And in the 26 years that I've been here, I've never seen this community fail to support its students.
Absolutely.
A perfect example is the parade they did last year for the seniors.
Yes.
When it looked, because we didn't know what graduation was going to be like. This community has always stepped up in so many ways, and we can continue to do that, don't you?
And as a positive, look at how quickly a Facebook post went out, and within 3-4 days, $6,000 were raised.
That was phenomenal.
That is absolutely
You know what
phenomenal.
else I want to do account to that is I think it's always important to look at all the positive aspects that come out of any situation. And what that also showed me is that, because I saw that, and it was all positive and it was all support, and what was great about that is that that's also the community recognizing the struggles that public education has with our funding. We are not an overfunded situation, and it's always about just trying to spread that funding out as best we can to always support those students.
And the other message I love is that the proceeds, if we don't need them for caps and gowns, they've talked about prom, that they're going to do an off-site prom this year to make sure the kids have an experience, because it has been such a very crazy year, especially for our senior class.
Absolutely.
So I was really happy to see the community come out and support them in
And
that.
that's Operation Footloose. And again, we've talked about toolkits. And if we haven't learned this, that different entities have different expectations.
Absolutely.
Of what you can and can't do under the public health order. Boleyn High School can hold a prom. There's restrictions.
Yeah.
And when Mr. Aguirre met with the prom committee, is what I'm gonna call them, I'm not gonna say that's their official term, but
Yeah.
people interested. You know, there were some concerns about restrictions, so people are always look for a choice. So again, approach the city. Having an off-site prom,
Yeah.
less restrictions.
Right.
They don't all go away,
Right.
but fewer restrictions than what Mr. Aguirre and his team have to face up there.
Right.
And so again, the city has stepped up to assist, but this is a collaborative effort, and where I know that Mayor Cordova and Mr. Aguirre are meeting, and we're working together for who?
The students.
The students.
The students.
The students.
Absolutely.
What can we do for our kids? And I like that you say, you know, these are opportunities to build relationships. It really is.
Absolutely.
Because we want to collaborate with the city. We want all stakeholders' feedback and input. Because we'll do a little bit of an economics lesson here.
Okay.
So we hear all the time in the state of New Mexico, I don't know, remember everybody getting excited, Amazon might be moving in, or Tesla, or one of them. Just fill in the blank, major company.
Right.
Oh, but they're concerned about the school district. It's not up to whatever standard they have. What we recognize is we want to continue getting better every year. If you listen to Ms. Sanchez on Tuesday night at the board meeting, she's talking about how we're tracking data, looking to close those achievement gaps so we can get better. Because if a major corporation or any corporation is looking to move into Belen and they see quality schools, if that's one of the criteria, you know, then we do it. And I'm not saying that we're not quality now, but
Right.
continue to raise the quality.
Just always
So
raising our
it's
quality.
as exemplary as we can make it. And if that's gonna be a selling point, all of us win. More tax dollars for the city.
Yep.
Growth for the city. Businesses are helped by more customers. The schools, we have more students, more funding,
works
everybody
out.
wins.
Yeah.
And so that's how we see our role in economic development to assist the city. Working together, collaboration, communication. And as you started this off with, sometimes that communication doesn't happen. And then it looks like, I always thought Belen High School cared about their kids. I guess not, because they're telling them they can't graduate.
Right.
That's, I wanna say this loud and clear. That was not the message. It has never been the message, ever.
Right, and students were not told that they couldn't walk the line. And in fact, I was looking at some of the footage on the news report last night, and there were students last year because of COVID who didn't have caps and gowns.
And we got 'em.
And they still walked across the stage.
We had
So-
one.
So that absolutely, it
Oh, yeah,
has
you were
never
there, you
been
know.
an issue.
No,
Yeah.
I was there.
What
We
I
had
really
one.
value and appreciate what you said, you made a statement yesterday, Mr. Sanchez, where you said, you know what, this is a great opportunity to better ourselves and our performance and our communication level, because what this shows us is, hey, somewhere communication may have gotten lost or misrepresented, and now we know that we need to do better to make sure that we can support the overall wellness. And I think that's an awesome way to look at it.
Well, and what I see with that is that high school is such a big organization
Yeah.
with so many moving parts. And it's neat to see that people stepped up. There's an English teacher that stepped up and talking to our class said, hey, who's ordered a cap and gown yet?
Right.
And that's where the conversation started. But because we are such a big organization, yes, sometimes communication.
That's a perfect example. So you heard Miss Lafayette
Yeah.
talk. Miss Taylor has caps and gowns. Cindy Schaubert has caps and gowns.
Yep.
People have them. So now that, I don't know why I didn't think of this when I was principal at Belen High School, because maybe, what's that old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees? You're too into it, but now that
Yeah.
taking a step back and can look at it, say, okay, so why don't we focus our efforts? What's a way we can get better? Focus our efforts, and you've heard this you've heard other school districts or high schools have that initiative, the prom dress.
Which we've done it for.
Yes.
Oh,
right?
yes, that,
Exchange, a
A
prom dress
exchange,
Very
or
cool
library, or
program.
lending library, whatever you wanna call it. Can't we do the same with
Yeah.
caps and gowns? So then it's focused. This is the room where we keep the spares. If you can't buy one, I'll call them gently used. If you can't buy one, you can come and try it, because I know that there's people at the high school that will alter hey, this one does, we don't want you to
It's
look
too
like you're
long.
wearing a tent.
Yes. How can we make it work for
How can we make
you?
it work for you, so that that it fits? That's the reality of what happens at Belen High School every year.
Yeah.
And then Belen being a community, I even had a call before any of this ever came up, in January, early this semester, from one of our district principals, Miss Leanne Becker, and I had graduated both of her sons, and she just called me out of the blue one day and said, Royceann, I was doing some cleaning and I have, the boys' graduation, gowns, which, can you guys use them at Belen High School? And that's exactly what I told her, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a great idea to
Yeah.
have an actual room where we store them, they're
That
centrally
is.
located, and I like the idea of students being able to try them on. Because yes, some are long, some are short, you have to, you know.
It
That
might be
is-
size right, but I'm tiny and we're the same size, but the other person was tall and I'm short.
Yeah,
So
dragging on the
it's-
ground.
We
Awesome.
can always get better.
Right.
And that's what I was talking to you about yesterday.
Yes.
There's always opportunities for us to reflect,
Mhm.
get better, build relationships
Yes.
with our city, with our stakeholders, again, for the kids. And, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about caps and gowns, but there was, in social media posts, there was concerns about fees too. And just to give you a background on fees, and this is where it goes into what you mentioned
Okay.
earlier, Racy, about finances.
Okay.
So it would be nice to say that all those great elective programs,
Yeah.
culinary arts,
Mhm.
welding, and watch out, forget one, photography,
Woodworking.
the woodworking, the digital
Digital
media
media.
and arts and computer classes,
Uh-huh.
health classes, and I'm gonna forget one, and I
Art,
apologize.
childcare.
Childcare, choir, band. It'd be nice to say that we get enough money from the state to
Yeah.
fully fund those so that we don't have to charge kids.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's not the truth. It's
Right.
not. And so, when students take these classes, they are charged a fee. Some students' families, they pay them right away. Some accumulate a bill. No questions asked. We don't, it's not like, oh, you're out of the class, you didn't pay your fee.
Right.
It just accumulates. Now, before graduation, they are asked to clear their accounts.
Right.
If we've learned one thing, and again, this is not a new practice, but we've recognized that during the time of the pandemic, some families unfortunately have met with economic crises.
Right.
At all times, at Belen High School, we have waived those fees based on the individual's need.
Awesome.
We always have. Can you think of one time that we said, nope, we want our money?
I can remember at senior checkouts in the years past, picking up the phone and saying, I've got a student that we're gonna need to work with.
Mhm.
And the team comes together and we put a plan and
That's
we,
awesome.
so getting our kids to graduate is always a priority.
It is.
Yeah. I could never fathom, $150 and it being like, well, sorry, looks like after all these years of
Yeah.
hard work, you just can't walk the
Yeah.
line, bud. I
You'll
mean,
get your diploma,
who would say
but you're
that?
not gonna walk by.
Right,
Who
yeah,
would do that?
yeah.
Okay, let's understand what we're in the business of doing.
Yeah,
Kids,
absolutely,
it's kids.
absolutely.
We're not in the business of anything else than working and educating kids. And that's our goal, so why would we do something
Right.
like that? And it's just so people know where that money comes from is the principal's fund. It's a discretionary fund that is funded by the district and other things.
Yeah,
That says, hey, in case you need to,
awesome.
and that's where it comes from.
Really good to
You know,
know.
when they film movies at Belen High School,
Yes,
it goes in, some of it, not all of it, goes into the principal's fund,
okay,
so that you can use it for discretionary items. They're gonna support, in one case, it's staff, those staff shirts I bought last year for the staff at BHS
right,
came out of that movie money.
nice.
Which
Yes,
is-
I'm
it also-
familiar.
It also paid for
Goes back to the
the fees to help pay those fees that we had to waive.
Yeah.
It's just, how can we help people?
I think my biggest takeaway from this week was that the intentions are clearly for the students in Valencia County. It clearly, from our staff to our community members to our leaders, everyone's intentions is to support those students, and I think that's the biggest takeaway, and I think that's amazing.
It is. And, when the news story came out last night, I'm sure you got calls, I got calls.
Right.
This is happening at BHS? Whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
And again, not criticizing the news story.
Yes.
You know, they wanted to report on it. I can't determine that, but let's make sure that our stakeholders.
Yes.
And if we haven't learned one thing about our stakeholders, they are passionate about anything Balloon.
Which is awesome.
Academics,
Mm-hmm.
athletics, extracurricular, all of those, they're gonna be passionate about that.
Right.
And so, again, welcome that questioning, hey, what the heck is going on up there?
Right,
That
right.
you guys are doing this?
I think the intention was to highlight what those individuals were doing. Unfortunately, it also may have been misconstrued as to what we're not doing.
Yes.
And I think it needs to just be focused on what they were doing and the positivity of that, but not take away from something that was also being done.
The
Well,
collaboration.
just so the message is clear that we weren't ever going to, no student, 80 students were not told that they would not be allowed to walk the line. That was not the case. But I love that the community of Belen, being a Belen High School graduate myself, the small town feel, the small town community, what a shout out to Belen that we have been able to do this. I love the support the community has always shown, as Mr. Sanchez has said, and this was just one example of that. So yeah,
It is.
what a positive step.
And Ms. Lafayette brought something up at the beginning, in this part of the discussion with us. There's a lot of people at the high school that I can attest to, because
Yeah.
I served up there before I became a principal at the middle school. I was there as an assistant principal. A lot of the same people are still there from that time.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh from, that's where I was before I moved over here. There's a lot of people up there that care about kids. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
And if the district ever said, well, we're not gonna do that, we'd have an uprising. We'd have, probably led by you, maybe a few others at the front.
Yeah, she's always part of the committee, remember I said, she's always part of the
I have my
committee.
torch ready.
They would be storming the administration building,
Yeah.
saying, what is wrong with you? Do
Right.
you realize, I mean, and you guys are that passionate, I don't mean it in a negative, that's how passionate you guys are about
Well,
kids.
I can't say enough about the staff at Belen High School, and what a dedicated group of people, most who are very seasoned and have done this for a long time. You know, this isn't the first time we've done a graduation, this is the first time, or maybe the second because of last year, that we're graduating kids in COVID. It's been a different year, so it's been different for all of us, but I gotta say, from administration, our two assistant principals who have been there this year to keep us going through the transitions. Mr. Sanchez was there, Mr. Sanchez came. Our new principal, Mr. Aguirre, is doing a fabulous job.
Mm-hmm.
The staff has just not missed a beat in working with the students at Belen High School. It's always crazy at this time to get seniors towards that final push to graduate, and it's gonna continue to be that way this year, but we have such a strong group of people. I am blessed to have the seniors this year. This is my group to work with them as their senior counselor. But, so I have the beauty of knowing them for 4 years, carrying them up since freshman, which I think was really wonderful in COVID because I know my students and they know me.
Yeah.
But I also have, we have such an awesome counseling staff. I just can't say enough about the people at Belen High School and the care that they have for our students. And our mission is to get kids to graduate, always.
It is, and I just second that.
Yeah.
So,
Amazing people, tons of amazing people. I will tell you, even the beautiful young lady who teaches up at the high school, who was part of the news story and kind of moved forward to help this community support, she was my daughter's teacher for many, many years and truly had a profound impact on my daughter's life. And so that, again, big turnaround.
And the students adore her,
It's
yes.
the student, you know,
Yes,
it's that
she's
student
good to see.
relationship and communication with them, and she really has done amazing things for my own child, and so I know that I can account for many great things that she does for our district.
and then just the final thing, I can't thank you enough, Ms. Lafayette, for being here. We're not done, so you don't get to leave.
Yeah, no, don't start skedaddling.
I wanna make sure I say this, because, again, working with her on multiple committees, maybe you don't know how to say no? Hey, I
I think
I
it's
never
because I've just
did.
been here a long time.
I never knew how to say no.
I think as president of NEA, I tend
There
to get
you
invited to
go.
a lot of
Yes.
things.
She's
We'll
the
say that.
go-to, call Royceann,
Yes.
you know?
But serving on many different committees, whether we're getting ready for the collective bargaining meetings, whatever we call it. COVID-19 task force, working with her as her supervisor at Belen High School. What you see here is Miss Lafayette isn't the outlier. Tons of people up there that have this passion, and you do have a passion. I will attest to
Awesome.
that, so.
I think it's wonderful, guys. I think that's super
Anything else
wonderful.
you wanna add?
I would like to say about seniors and going forward and graduating, this is another kind of misnomer. A lot of people hear, oh, my kid didn't finish, or my kid didn't pass the class, he didn't graduate. And that has never been a mission, and I know Mr. Sanchez can speak to that in the past, but we have a deadline of May 18th because that is set for our graduation day. And we work furiously to try to get as many kids as we can in the senior class to complete all of the credits required by the state of New Mexico so that they have their diploma and they can walk the stage. But if there are students who have not finished a class, we work with them throughout the summer to still get that diploma.
Class of 2021.
And I just wanna also make sure
Yes.
that the community is aware of that.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
We did it last year, and we did it the year before, and the year before. We want to have that diploma in those kids' hands.
Absolutely. Wonderful stuff. A lot of good information, guys. This is going to bring us to the next portion, and it is the questions. I'm going to start off. Kind of an intense question. We're going to just dive right into it.
I'll put the difficult one first.
Yeah, always. Here we go. 3 times this week, my child told me that their classmate was wearing a Confederate flag shirt. I'm not okay with this. I know many people in this community are not okay with this. When and how is Belen Schools gonna stand up for this being wrong? What does our policy say, and when are we going to control this with our dress code?
That's a great question. So
Yeah.
something I've been working on.
Absolutely, I'm familiar.
And I know that I want to say this correctly.
Mhm.
People would like an immediate response because they believe this is wrong, and I'm not saying that they're wrong. Let me
Right.
say that. But students have First Amendment rights, and it is our job as leaders, whether it be at a school site or as the leader of the entire district, it's our job to protect those rights.
Right.
And not trample on them because of our own personal beliefs. So when this was brought to our attention, I would be honest, first we looked at our policies to make sure that we are understanding those correctly. And that includes our dress code policy, you know, because you gathered the documents for me.
I did a lot of research this week on that.
Yeah. Looking at our dress code policies, looking at our actual policy, getting advice from the lawyer.
Looking at the
because
law that the
looking at
policy is
the-
referenced to.
At prior court cases,
Mhm.
because what may seem cut and dried to the layman, to us, the courts don't always see it that way.
Right.
But the decision has been made as of yesterday, correct?
Yes.
The week's running together for me.
Yes,
As of
yesterday, tomorrow.
Guidance was given to the leader of this site that you can ask that student not to wear that particular piece of clothing. Each case is, it's not cut and dried.
Right.
And we may find it offensive. There may be things that offend people, and we can't just say, well, it's offended, it's offensive, you need to not do that. We have to protect the student rights.
Right, there has to be something that backs that
There
up. I
does.
mean, I can't wear a shirt with flowers on it and you have really bad allergies and say, hey, that shirt offends me. Well, we need some evidence
Right.
that symbol represents something that is offensive.
And I think it's important that people understand that we do that for everything,
Mhm.
is to make intentional decisions, not just, let's jump, we need to do something right away, so that we avoid mistakes. And again, you hear this from me often, to protect the students.
Absolutely.
Do what's best for the student. And if students, students have First Amendment rights, and we have to protect those rights and not trample. Anybody that wants to really look into this, go back to, I believe it's 68, the court case that has set the boundaries
Mhm.
for student First Amendment rights is Tinker versus Des Moines.
Right.
And that's the case that is referred to most often in court cases.
I gotta tell you, Mr. Sanchez, you don't have a clue what you're walking into. You think you know, oh, it's the agenda and this. Next thing you know, you're knee deep in legal and past court
I like
cases,
it.
and you're like, when
I do find
when
that
did I
interesting.
become a paralegal?
I do find that interesting that,
I
that
do
we
too.
get to
Add
do
it
that.
to your job.
Yeah.
We do. Because
Other duties as
Other
assigned.
things.
You look at Tinker versus Des Moines, went all the way to the Supreme Court,
Yes.
and they affirmed. And for those of you that are like my age and remember being in school in the '60s, school has changed.
Yeah.
It's changed. You know, I'm one of those educators that has been around long enough and is old enough that I remember getting paddled.
That's great. It's even changed. I mean, I graduated in 2003. Even since then, the things have changed. The attendance expectations
Yeah.
completely changed.
Yeah, yeah. So we have to change with it
Yes.
and make sure we're not violating students' rights.
Thank you, sir, for answering that question. The next question is a little bit more direct, not so intense, but how many students are allowed in a classroom?
By the toolkit,
Mm-hmm.
the guidance we've gotten from the PED is keep 6 feet as much as you possibly can. Now, you can't take a classroom that was built for 30 and put 50 in there. And I don't think we have any classrooms that are filled to capacity. But there are some where they've had to go a little bit over. Here's the key, and this is the guidance that the PED told us. So you have a daughter at Bowling High School. Let's say that, because we've done the math on this, at Bowling High School, parents can't come and see it, but on each one is the amount that can be in there at 6 feet social distancing. And this is where it also gets in. And some people say, well, why are you not following CDC? Because they say 3 feet. Well, the Department of Health says 6 feet. They haven't switched to 3 feet yet.
Okay.
So that comes in. Let's say the occupancy is 20. And Miss Lafayette's daughter is number 21. And they say, too bad, so sad.
Right.
You don't get to participate. Can you imagine how upset parents would be?
Yeah.
Your daughter doesn't get to participate today. Sorry. Well, why?
We've reached capacity.
And it's looking at the layout of the classroom. Can we move furniture out that might be taking this table? Can we move it out so that we can fit another student in? And it's looking at that. So with the guidance from the state, the state is more concerned with having kids in school as opposed to following the strict, you can't have more than these kids.
Right.
To the greatest extent possible, and we have to follow those.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, I have a child that has a compromised immune system, and I was wondering if next year, is the district still gonna offer virtual learning?
That
Big
is
question.
our goal, and again, let's do economics.
Right.
I don't know what percentage of parents, guardians would like to have remote learning available next year. But let's say around 10%, which would be 350 kids. If I'm really concerned about this, such as this parent sounds like, I'm gonna find the place that fits my child, which is remote learning, because I wanna keep my child safe. We can't afford to lose 350 kids. I
Right.
mean, our enrollment goes down. Ms. Lafayette, as the president of the union, where are we gonna make the cuts? Jobs for teachers. It really is. Because again, if you go back to Ms. Torres, our director of our assistant superintendent in charge of finance.
Right.
What is the number one expense by far of Bowling Consolidated Schools?
Payroll.
Salaries, isn't
Salaries.
it like over 90%, if I remember the last numbers? Yeah, it's that much. So a drop in enrollment means a drop in the number of teachers needed. So in 2 reasons. We want to keep our educators
Right.
employed. We also want to keep our kids here in Berlin. We want to do the right thing.
I also think that has been one of the unintended consequences of COVID that has been a good thing, is we were forced to go remote, so we had to learn fast. It was a steep learning curve, but man, there have been some kids that have really thrived.
There have,
and they
Right.
enjoy that platform. Also, kids who were on homebound before, who were not physically able to come
Mhm.
into the high school, and there's gonna be students that were, maybe had 504s for medical reasons with
Mhm.
anxiety. And I think there's gonna be a multitude of kids going forward that we might be able to use this platform as we continue, and I think that's a good thing.
That is a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Those who are on 504s in previous years weren't able to participate in their education like their peers. But now, because of the remote learning, they can be an active part of their classroom. You know, that I learn something new every day. I hadn't thought about that when you, as a counselor,
Yeah, there's some kids
you're
that really
right in there.
did thrive, not all, some
Right.
like the classroom setting,
Right.
but some like the.
The goal, and we tried it now, it didn't work. We want to find a way, if we can fund it, if it works, the virtual academy, at least at the elementary level, to where, to try and remove a hurdle from the teacher where they're having to do in-person and remote. I know that's hard.
Very
And
difficult.
when I say this, I'm gonna put this clarifier because I've been accused of saying this. You said this was gonna happen. I have never said this was gonna happen.
Right.
I said our goal is to try and make it happen. And so I'm very careful in what I
Our
say.
best efforts to get
It
this
is,
done.
and that hasn't gone away. We weren't able to make it happen now in the spring when we return to learning, but that doesn't mean that we're not still trying.
Our intentions are still there and we're
They're
gonna make
still
our
there.
efforts. Awesome. This brings us to our next one. It took me a minute, but now I see what they're saying. They said, how is the district tracking where students should be at pre-COVID and post-COVID academically? And then what resources are being made available for students to keep at their grade level?
To keep students at their grade level?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Right, and I think the first part they're asking is how, I think as far as academically, how are we tracking where they were and where they are now, and to make sure that there's not that learning gap?
And then again, if you watch the board meeting on Tuesday, that's what Ms. Sanchez was saying.
Absolutely.
It's all based on the standards.
Yeah,
I mean, we know what third grader in their 6th month, where they should be. And when we assess those students, the assessment results, whether it be a short cycle assessment such as iStation or Illuminate, or the spring, that's one that we haven't had to do in a while, but the spring standardized testing, it tells us whether they're at grade level or not. And it's taking all that data and looking at it and saying, we have these kids, as Ms. Sanchez shared, that are performing at or near grade level. We have these kids, there's some gaps. And it's looking at those, it really taking it down to the lowest level and
Yeah.
saying, okay, you, Ms. Vallejos, you're a teacher. You have 2 kids in your class that are not meeting expectations as
Yes.
of the last assessment. What are you gonna do each day to help this student grow?
interventions,
Intervention.
absolutely.
And next time we assess them, doesn't mean that because you put that intervention that they're gonna go from not being at grade level to grade level.
Right,
But are we seeing that growth? So
Yes.
that eventually, that intervention continues in place, they will get to where they need to be.
and if not,
And
we
that's how we
readjust.
track it.
I gotta appreciate the district learning plan and having that reference. It's like you just reference back. Where are we at, where are they at, where do we need to get them to be?
Mhm.
So just kind of being mindful of that.
And then, being a counselor who advises students academically, the first thing we do is, if you see a student who's struggling, reach out to the teachers. Talk to the teachers. Our teachers are so incredible, and they have office hours, and they will meet with small groups, they will tutor. So I think the first line for tutoring is to work with your teacher and see what you need. And then
Awesome.
we can look for outside resources if we need that.
And one of another committee Ms. Lafayette and I both serve on is the calendar committee, which we met yesterday. And we probably didn't spend enough time focusing on the positive aspects of this. But as we look at next year's calendar and what it may look like, one of the things that the district is required to provide is after-school activities.
Mm-hmm.
Numerous types. But again, that could be at the high school level, credit recovery opportunities that are focused so we have those kids in that. Or it could be tutoring, or it could be something that's gonna help fill those achievement gaps that have come about because of the pandemic and tracking the data, not on a yearly basis, but almost a daily basis, as far as the site administrators, for the individual classroom teacher, just for their kids. How is this student getting better? And making sure that they're getting better.
And for whoever out there asked this question, and for other parents and community members who have this same question, you know, please engage in the board meetings, watch the board meetings. This is a big subject matter. It's a big concern of the board, and there's oftentimes reports as where are we at as a district supporting and filling these gaps and getting kids to where they're proficient and they should be. So this is a huge topic. Join into those board meetings and you will learn a lot of important data on this.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez, for that. The next question, will the high school graduation ceremony take place on the football field this year? Yes, that was a strong yes.
I am highly confident
There we
that
go.
it will. People want me to predict the future. I told somebody yesterday, if I could predict the future, I would be playing the stock market. I'd be a gambler.
We'd be doing it.
And I'd be donating money to Berlin schools
Yeah.
so that we could have better things, because I have too much money. I'm highly confident
Okay.
that we will be able to have it on the football field. And here's why I say this. If we have it inside, no parents get to attend. Right now, with us being on
at
yellow,
this point.
we have to have a contingency plan.
Mhm.
That if the public health orders change, which I have no control over,
Absolutely.
and they say you can which happened last year, you can't have graduation like you normally do, then we have to look at the drive-through again. But our plan A, because I've met with Mr. Aguirre and his team, our plan A is a socially distanced graduation on the Berlin High School football field. Mr. Aguirre has put this into a great schematic for those visual people out there. We, right now, because we are a yellow county, we are limited to 25% occupancy in the stands, which is 3,200 and some. It works out, I know this number because we've had to use it so much, 816 guests can be in our stands.
Nice.
816. There will be room on the field for all graduates, social distance.
Perfect.
I know that the staff is excited because they'll get to attend this year,
Yes.
which they weren't able to last year. Again, on the football field and socially distanced. We'll have room for dignitaries on the football field, socially distanced. And is it gonna be the graduation of years past? No, we're not gonna, what would you guess, 5,000 fans? At least?
Absolutely easy. Yeah.
Easy. No, it won't be that.
Right.
But not because of me.
Yeah.
We have to follow the health orders. And no, after graduation, we can't have parents coming down on the field. We've all been there. Hey,
Yeah.
congratulations, let's take a picture. And no, we're not allowed to do that. So I ask people, this isn't a BCS thing. We are doing our job as members of our state community to support the public health order. We're gonna ask parents to leave the premises. We can't gather in the parking lot either. We don't want to have a super spreader event. And
Right.
for us to look like, oh, well, they didn't follow the rules, so we have to do this. If we stay yellow, or green, or turquoise, we can have the graduation on the BHS football field. So my request, because we're talking about community partnerships,
Absolutely.
help us stay at least yellow. If you can help us get to green, community members, help us get to green.
Right?
'Cause
Green's
in
my favorite
green-
color.
At green, 50%. So now we're talking about 1,632 guests, which means maybe grandpa and grandma and auntie and uncle can come, and cousin
Right.
George can come and all that.
Gotta have Cousin George.
Yeah, gotta have cousin George. Right now, we're limited to maybe 4,
That's what
but
they're saying.
most likely 3,
That's what
but
the parents
possibly
were
4.
told last night.
Yeah,
Okay.
4 tickets for family, no
Right.
more. And
A lot, I have to tell you, it may not be where we wanna be, but it's a lot further from where we were.
bless you.
And that's awesome. The closer we can get to getting these seniors, that real graduation process, you know, it's such an important part in a kid's life to kind of go through that, and I think we're getting closer.
And just like with everything else, you have to have other plans.
Yeah,
Again, plan A, graduation on the field. Plan B, because we know weather, and we've waited out weather before, right?
We should.
Graduation started at 8 or 8:30, so we could get the weather. Let's say we have that storm of the year, and we have to get those kids graduated. Mr. Aguirre will be setting up, now fans won't be able to come in, or
But there's
guests,
a plan.
but they will be setting up the high school gym, so that if we have to move to the gym, we will be able to live stream it, and the kids will still be able to go across the stage. And Plan C is, we're told you can't have it,
Right.
then we'll do the drive-through.
I have to tell you, Mr. Sanchez, I appreciate that about you, and I think that contributes to your quality of being very adaptable. You have a great quality of adaptability. And when he first came into this office, one of his first questions was, "Well, what's your plan B?" And I'm like, "I don't have one." He's like, "You always have a plan
Gotta have a
B,
plan.
Gracie, always."
And here's
So
the
I do now.
here's the last thing I wanna say on that. Whatever we're at 2 weeks, as the county, whatever color we're at 2 weeks before graduation.
Okay.
We are locked into that. So let's say we're yellow 2 weeks before graduation, and then the county goes red, we're on the field.
Really?
If we're locked in, if we're green, turquoise, it doesn't matter the color. What color are we 2 weeks before graduation? We're locked in. The state has given us that,
Huh.
so that we don't have to run around
Right,
like
that's
crazy
thoughtful.
trying, oh, we're red now, oh, we have to. Can
It's
you
like an
imagine?
interest rate.
Yeah.
Lock in at
Lock it
3%.
in.
2 weeks later, you still get to stay at 3%. I don't care if it skyrocketed to 9.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So
That's good.
I feel highly confident.
Perfect.
That's-
Sorry about that, sir.
No, that's the highest, I can't say for sure.
But it's a strong
It
word
is.
there. The last question is actually a statement, and I was excited to share this. Community member wanted to say, "I want to thank Mr. Sanchez for all of his hard work. He seems as though he has been a wonderful superintendent so far through many new challenges. I also want to thank the principals at both BHS and Infinity for supporting my daughter through a smooth transition from one school to the other." So I just thought that was a really positive note, and I think it's important to end on positive notes, especially when it comes to those difficult questions. And this brings us to the final part of our BCS Buzz, which is the trivia.
Your favorite part?
My favorite part. I love the trivia. It's fun. But, you know, Royceann, you said, I think we clarified you've been here since 1998. 23 years.
In this district, yes.
23 years in
You got
this
my fast.
district.
Very
It's a-
fast.
It's amazing. So with the theme of the number 23, my question for you guys today, first person to call 966-1003 is going to get a $10 gift card to Sonic. Again, that's 966-1003. And there's multiple answers to this question, but whoever's the first to call.
Do you know all the answers?
Oh, every single one, sir.
Awesome.
No, I do not. I'll have to
Most.
Google it
So what's your
probably.
plan B?
Then I Google it, and then if the internet goes down, I know one, or I'm just gonna give it to him for effort, right? Name a famous athlete whose number was 23.
Wow.
Famous athlete whose number, and we've got some obvious ones, but it'd be interesting to see if someone comes at me with, you know, some tennis. Oh well, I guess tennis players don't have numbers, do they? Just kidding. You heard it, guys.
Serena Williams.
Yeah, there you go, Serena Williams. You know what? I want to thank you for joining us today. I think this was a really important BCS Buzz, and I very much value clarity, accountability, and kindness, and I think that all three of those were here and presented today for the BCS Buzz, and I think it's important that we're sharing out information, and we're staying positive, and we're focusing on those students.
And I have thought of two people that I absolutely cannot forget to shout out.
There you go.
is
Yes, shout out time.
Tarla Hill and Misty Torres, who are the senior
Senior
class
counselors.
counselors.
Woohoo! Go
They
Tarla and
have
Misty.
Senior counselor
They
here.
have worked endlessly, and man, they are trying to get every activity they can for these kids who have had a hard year. So thank you.
You have to.
Tarla and Misty.
Go Tarla, go Misty, go BHS, go Belen Eagles.
Look how many themes we had today. Collaboration,
Yep,
partnership,
absolutely.
caring, graciousness, positivity, and all for who? The kids.
The kids.
The kids. Yep.
You
The
guys
important ones.
have a great Thursday, great Friday,
We'll see
wonderful
you.
weekend.
Thank you, Miss Lafayette.
Thank you.